All right, and welcome to today's broadcast. Jan Ragnerud, founder of chaosmap.com. I'm what they call a creative director. That's just a fancy way for saying, hey, I'm like the consultant man who can really help to drive traffic and leads and sales through your organization. That's exactly what we're talking about today. And I have a crack team of specialists and experts that deal with exactly that. And so I'm going to talk about this 5-step process for highly targeted client appointments, and really what I call the secret here to doing this. And sometimes this simplicity can sometimes be skewed, as in, oh well, that just looks too simple to be good, right? Well, actually, sometimes it's true. The expression, if it's this simple or if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah, it is in this case. But you know what? Welcome is what I wanted to tell you. I'm excited once again. This is a repetitive theme. And if you're listening and watching, you should be excited too, because, man, we are sharing some juicy tips and insights and strategies here during these broadcasts. And if you're watching here, you're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-step process, as I said, for getting better clients and more appointments into your professional services organization. So if you're a lawyer, if you're a plastic surgeon, a doctor, if you are a consultant, an agency, anybody who provides professional services into the marketplace, right, is somebody who this would work good for. And ultimately is, it's this. Do you get business by setting appointments? Well, then this is exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. And I have a previous broadcast on this, and we're upgrading some of our documents here. You were looking at one right here. But essentially, what I wanted to call out here is a little bit on the process, because that's what we're sharing today. And again, previous broadcast has more detail on the process itself, so I'm not going to go too deep. But really, what I wanted to really nail down with this, and it's not clearly called out here because I'm going to share another screen where I break this down a little bit, actually for you, is that we talk about metrics a lot. Like, we're going to be talking about that here today. And to understand this process is one thing, but if you're not tracking this at the back end with, specifically because we're talking about Facebook ads today, the pixel, of course, if it's anything else, we always want to track it with Google Analytics as well. So that runs in the back end, or any other web tracking or web analytics tools or platforms. But I want to also call out, we have a recent client out there who's using Acuity scheduling for appointments. And there are some unique things that I wanted to call out here today to make sure that you're aware of them, and also the ability for you to do this yourself. And or if you'd like to, feel free to head on out to chaosmap.com, chaosmap.com. You can set up an appointment there. And we'll be happy to jump on and talk to you as well. And if you want to go direct, by the way, on this, it's chaosmap.com/talk. So, but let's dive in. Essentially, this is the 5-step process. As I said, we've covered this before in another broadcast. But what I wanted to just call out is very quickly how this works. So at the very top, we have traffic. And typically, very often, we combine this with ads, right? So paid advertising. This is where you have your organic and paid media, which then essentially takes you to a registration page. So for a webinar or webcast, on demand, etc., your master class goes to your webinar room, right? So, emails back and forth. It might be on demand, as in, countdown to 3 minutes, it starts, etc. Some of that we're not going to get into, but there are some unique strategies for that. Then you get the ability to, after the webinar or the last 3 minutes where you're presenting your offer or your services for a free call, say, well, then the link pops up and it takes you to a calendar where they can book an appointment themselves. And then after that, you have an application form to dive into some more details about if it's a business strategy call, what is your current monthly revenue? What is your target revenue? Why haven't you reached it yet? How much do you spend on advertising? What business are you in, etc. And some of the other meta information. So once you have this, you have a nice kind of workflow and a framework to work from. Now, within this, we have tools that operate sort of intra-dependent of each other. For instance, I talked about Facebook. We have YouTube, Google Display, as traffic drivers potentials, right? Of course, many other solutions here, but we're talking primarily about those. The landing page, the registration page, leadpages.net is fine, or custom landers in WordPress, Optimize Press. Many tools out there. Thrive Themes is awesome. So you can get that set up, tie that into your backend CRM. Then you have the webinar room. You can use Stealth Seminar. It's awesome. And also custom rooms here. I call this a video sales letter, but it's essentially where you play the presentation. And that can be a 30 to 45 to 60 minute webinar or webcast. Then it goes to the calendar. And right there, we're seeing schedule once as a potential. Calendly.com and AcuityScheduling.com. These are great tools that you might want to consider testing. We like Calendly a lot. It's fast, it's flexible, it's dynamic. Really have Calendly has come a long way since we first started testing it when it came out to be a player in that market. But don't scoff off the other ones either, right? These are players indeed. Many big companies use it, and smaller, and solopreneurs that provide a lot of market value, and setting up these appointments and presenting their solutions. All right, so let's kind of talk about this then. Now that you understand the basic framework, the key, as I said here at the top, is to understand what those metrics are. And I'm not going to share dashboards here today. I just wanted to call this out, that when you are dealing with Facebook ads, we do this a lot at the agency and for clients, but when we set this up, we want to understand two things right from the get-go. And that is, demographic information. We capture through a simple questionnaire all the necessary meta information, demographics information, target in terms of audiences, and also what the general message is, what some of the offers are. Try and capture this early on so that we understand the opportunities we have for marketing, and so that we can position this product or service into the marketplace, whether it's lead gen or e-com, etc. Once we have that, that sort of is in the category of marketing, right? Capturing all that messaging and essentially presenting that to the right media, to the right audience at the right time, with the right message, right media, etc. And this is the old Dan Kennedy model. And once you have this, then it moves into this process that we see and that I just described with the registration page and the webinar room, etc. But the essence of this now, in terms of you actually turning into the business, into a business that's scaling and growing, is to actually have a sales process that works. And if you're early in the game on this, it's fine to develop this process out. We can help you with that as well. But ultimately, if you have great marketing and people see you everywhere and they're clicking and engaging and sharing, liking, commenting, that's all fine and dandy, as the expression goes. But if you're not selling anything through your closing, sales and closing process, that's what we consider an expense at that point, right? Now, we like to look at marketing as an investment because it's not overnight. We know that. We also know there's a commitment to the cause, if you will. And that cause is goals that you establish early on through milestones. And that is not just simply growth. It is also tasking it out amongst team members. And when we work with clients, we like to make very clear the duties on either side and what's expected. And we help map this out through a project management portal. But ultimately, that sales process needs to be clear. Now, one of the things that really is going to help this is to understand that when you're assigning a budget, and we also always like to have a test budget assigned to make sure that we can prove out some of these cases and these scenarios, we want to understand the metrics. And the metrics, again, is what I'm trying to get down to today, is that if you have an average order value out there that what that is, and you have a CPA or CPL, cost per acquisition, cost per lead, that is less than that, that's when you have a profitable or healthy business, at least from the get-go, right? But it's never good enough. You have to continually optimize and grow that. And so you optimize those conversions into your sales process to look better and better. So if you have an average order value of $100 for simplicity, and initially you get leads in that actually converts over for you at $70, well, that's maybe okay, but most likely not, right? We'd like to have a 2-to-1 return at least. And so $50 down now you're going to start to optimize and look good. Well, how do you track that? And so for this process with the Acuity scheduling that I'm using here today as an example, actually, before I get to that, if you're using Schedule Once or Calendly, you can set those up by using a little different approach. And I have talked about that in previous episodes. They are similar in the way that you set this up with Facebook ads and essentially that Facebook pixel. And of course, you want to Google Facebook pixel if you're brand new to this. But for Acuity scheduling, they have done something a little bit different where I'm going to actually flip out of this screen here where I can show you. They have Acuity scheduling here, a help page that talks about the Facebook conversion pixel. And essentially what I wanted to, portray here to you or deliver here for you today is that unlike where you have to sort of custom make, if you will, the URLs or these events within the Facebook realm, you can actually use Acuity scheduling inside the tool itself and just simply supply the number for that Facebook pixel. And what Acuity scheduling does, which is a little bit different, and by the way, you do this under integrations on your Acuity scheduling dashboard, and under integrations will not show up if you're not an admin, by the way, on Acuity scheduling. So then all you do is input the Facebook pixel ID, and here's what's cool. Unlike some of these other tools, you will actually see triggers sent back to Facebook based on activity and engagement on that particular widget as you embed it on the page. So here's an example. A page view is always sent when pages are loaded, right? So this is something that's integral to Acuity scheduling. Initiate checkout, IC, right? It's triggered when somebody starts scheduling an appointment or purchasing a package subscription. And for some of you that are reading this, you realize, that's interesting. This sounds an awful lot like an e-com checkout process. And that's indeed what they have implemented within the widget. So it's not as succinct as looking at the workflow as I've showed before in other broadcasts, but it actually fires based on activity within the embedded widget on your page, because you can really take this Acuity scheduling widget, put it on your page, and publish. It's great if you're on WordPress, for instance. And so the purchase trigger, this event essentially is kicked off after somebody successfully books an appointment or completes an order for a package, gift certificate, product from your store. That's exactly what we want. That purchase right there is somebody who books an appointment. And that's the one that essentially, based on that pixel ID, gets shown in the results area in one of the columns. Again, you can customize columns inside Facebook, but there you can now see, okay, I spent X. Of course, you have the vanity metrics at the top of impressions and cost per click and CTRs and things like that. But essentially, you have now the ability to run a quick report inside Ads Manager. You can customize the fields and the columns, etc. And watch for this purchase flag here that's being triggered, because now you can actually start getting down to not only how many appointments you got booked for the day, for the week, for the month, but also start looking at, okay, so what is the actual conversion point now in terms of the cost that you spent to get that appointment, and what is the return based on, as I mentioned earlier, the average order value and the optimization of that cost per lead. So I thought this was just a very cool thing, because frankly, I hadn't used I'd used Acuity scheduling before, but then we started working with this one client, and we thought this was a very slick integration. Actually, kudos for that Acuity scheduling. We're not necessarily fans of the product yet, but this level of integration was smartly done. So you can read that up on acuityscheduling.com under the help section. But before you do, you should also read up on the Facebook pixel in general. Lots of information on Facebook Corp on that as well. So here we're back looking at the form or at the workflow. So here you can see now we have the traffic ads, the registration webinar room, and ultimately here, this is Schedule Once example, but here's where you would have your Acuity scheduling, and you wouldn't have to do anything else. It's just going to feed right back to your Facebook ads over here. So I hope this has been helpful. I wanted to get this broadcast out to you, and also tell you that if you want more information on this and you need help to integrate all of this, that is what we do. That is our lifeblood, bread and butter. It's what we live, eat, and breathe. And hey, we love it too. How about them apples? Chaosmap.com. Head on over, and happy to give a quick 15-20 minute call with you there. And by the way, if you would like to share, if you'd like to like and share and comment, then hey, I would be more than happy to receive that. This is essentially my new little graphic here. We're doing a bunch of optimization on this end as well in terms of some of this media that we're putting out here, and getting some new pictures done. And yeah, all of you guys that are following and watching and appreciating the broadcast, hey, I really, really just appreciate you back. And thank you for joining today. So hopefully this has been helpful to help you understand a little bit about the workflow of that, client acquisition and, getting better clients for more appointments. And that you have to track in the back end, no matter how slick these things appear. You need to track your data, guys and gals. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Like, share, comment, and I'll talk to you soon. Later.